So that has probably been one of the struggles. And then on top of that, managing so many different aspects of the business, whether it's sales, marketing, social media, the finance aspect of it, like customer relations, like you're every single department until you decide that you're going to start hiring people.
Welcome to This Might Get Creative, a Behind the Brand podcast by Lyon Creatives. I'm Svenja Lyon, and in each episode, I sit down with local business owners and entrepreneurs to share their stories, how they got started, what keeps them going, and what makes their business stand out. My goal? To help more amazing businesses be seen, supported, and celebrated. So grab your coffee, because this might just get creative. Hey everyone, I'm Svenja Lyon, and you're listening to the very first ever episode of This Might Get Creative, the podcast where you dive into the messy, magical, and unexpected sides of business and creativity. Each month, I sit down with entrepreneurs, designers, and dreamers who share how they built something that truly stands out, the wins, the lessons, and the stories behind it all. Today, I'm joined by Lynnette Peña-Kelly. She's the founder of Lace Passport, a luxury travel brand that helps couples design unforgettable honeymoons and destination weddings. Let's get into it. Hi, Lynnette.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Very good. Awesome. So thank you so much for joining me for this very first podcast. That's very exciting. So I wanted to give you the floor and tell us a little bit about Lace Passport.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me as your first guest. Also, congratulations for winning your award.
Oh, yes.
Our award.
Yes, our award. For everyone who doesn't know, we worked together on the Lace Passport branding, and it won the Oliver's Award for best branding.
Amazing. Okay, so I would say, much like Spider-Man, my origin story started with when a butterfly bit me on my back. I grew some wings. Just joking. I would say my whole life has actually kind of been gearing me to do this. I think I just took the long route. I have been traveling since I was a little girl, back and forth between Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. So traveling has always been very natural for me. I mean, window seat, cloud flying by, the turquoise water as you're landing. I mean, what not to love, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't walk up to my mom as a kid and say, "Hey, mom, you want to be a travel agent?" Because my mom would have told me to, do something more practical.
Yeah, that's typical. Like my mom told me when I told her that I wanted to study graphic design, she said, maybe just stick to marketing.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like, so I actually really wanted to be a singer when I was younger, because I was in a choir, and I used to sing, and I used to always get all the leads. And my mom said, do something practical. And so the only thing I was really good at was science. So believe it or not, I actually started off as I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. That was my practical career.
Okay.
And so my first year of college, I was a double bio and chem major.
Wow.
Intense, very intense.
Yes.
But I also got into a really bad car accident, which left me wondering, I don't know how I'm here today, actually.
Oh my God.
And it left me wondering, I don't want to go to school for another 12 to 14 years to specialize in this. I'm like, I can die tomorrow. Yeah. And so that kind of led me to a series of lots of experiences that all revolved around having fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I probably partied and traveled throughout all of my 20s, all while keeping a job at a hospital and a part-time job.
Wow.
I don't even know how I had any time to do anything, but I did. And then in 2008, I made a very good money for being 20 years old. And then 2008 happened. and the market crashed. And I lost my job, and a lot of people lost their job, and I didn't have a degree. So I couldn't find a job making the same amount of money. And I would go on interviews, and I'm like, how am I supposed to live off of this? You know, but it's like, it makes sense. People with degrees were getting the jobs over me. So from there, I decided I was going to go to school for interior designing.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm still really into that. And then I helped a lot of my friends with their weddings, and I realized that I really just love like the organizational part of it.
Yeah.
But then I dropped out of interior designing because I'm like, I'm not very social. Like, how am I going to find clients, right? Can you believe that? I wasn't very social back then.
I cannot believe
it. And so I have this like motto in my life where if I'm like fearful of something, I am going to dive head into it. And so I was like, what can I do to like combat this? So I went and I got a job as a bartender and as a waitress. Like, right front and center, talking to people. Like, that was my way of combating that fear. And so I did that. I did that for almost 10 years.
Love that.
And then somewhere in my 30s, well, no, actually, somewhere in my late 20s, I was like, you know what? I need to go back to school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do I go back to school for? So I was like, I can't be a doctor now. I'm like, it's too late. It's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late.
You would still be in school.
I would still be in school right now. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll do nursing. And so I went on that track. And then I was like, you know, I'm doing this for the wrong reasons. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, it's not a passion. It's more for money. I worked in a hospital setting for a really long time, and I worked with, unfortunately, with very unhappy people. And I said, whatever I do next, I'm like, it's gotta like fulfill me, like mentally, emotionally. I'm like, it has to make me like so happy. I'm like, I don't want to just do something that I'm not gonna give like my whole heart to, because I'm a very passionate person, so I have to like fulfill that part of me. And after just one day of soul searching, I said travel. I'm like, it has to something to do with travel. And so I didn't know what I was going to do with travel. You know, I was halfway through schooling, and I was like, oh, now I have to shift my degree. And so I did all that.
Wow. So but you were still doing the interior design at that point? No.
I gave up the interior designing because I said that I gave it up because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to find a job in this. I'm not very social, and it's really about who you know and putting yourself out there. And I was like, I don't think it's going to happen. And so I went back to school for nursing, decided not to do that. And changed my degree to Spanish with a concentration in translations, a double business major, and then I have a bunch of minors in like Spanish business, international studies, and Spanish literature. So the reason I did it that way is because I said, you know what, I do speak Spanish, but not, you know, I'm kind of capped as far as where my Spanish was at that point because it's what I learned at home. So imagine only learning English at home, or you only learning German at home and never going any school. So I didn't have any formal education. So I decided I wanted to enhance my vocabulary and my knowledge of the language while also getting my business degree. So it was kind of like this is fulfilling me, and also this is going to help me like with my career. I didn't know what my career was going to be at that point. I just knew it was going to be in travel. I didn't know what at what capacity. And in my last year of college, I just sent my resume out to a bunch of travel companies, and I interviewed a couple, didn't really seem very interested, and then I applied for this river cruise company that's based out of France, and that sounded so interesting to me, alongside with this other like travel agency kind of based company. And I decided to go with the European company because it was something I had never heard of river cruising before. I thought it was so interesting. You know, at that point, Had I been to, yeah, I had been to Europe. Like Europe was like a kind of obsession at that point in my life because I had been to Portugal like 12 years ago, and so I said, you know what, this is it, and that's my really long story of how I ended up here.
Well, that's so cool. Tell me a little bit more about the France, the river cruise, because is that the one where you are in Paris and you're on the Seine and, you know?
Yeah. So they were a mom and pop company. They are because they still exist. And they had I think at the time like 63 vessels owned and operated themselves. And they had ships on the Seine, the Danube, the Rhine, you know, and some other ones out there. And then they had some like South African itinerary, and they had an itinerary in Egypt. But yeah, they did all the major routes and then some unique ones. And that was such a great foundation for my learning, because, you know, I was in an office with people, you know, not the CEO, but the general manager of the office had been in the industry almost his entire life. He owns his own agency. He actually used to specialize specifically in Portugal. So he's one of the original people that used to like promote the destination in the area. And so he was just like a wealth of information. And I didn't know it at that time, but until I went out on my own, that I realized like how much I had kind of absorbed from him, absorbed from some of my other coworkers on how to do things. You know, their system was interesting because I felt like it was a little antiquated. It was a little frustrating at times for me, but it was probably one of my favorite jobs that I ever had because I was literally just sitting there all day looking at itineraries and looking at all these cool places and talking to people and, you know, helping them just make decisions about these destinations. And, you know, the best part is, you know, I had to go on one of their cruises every year. I mean, that's, you know, someone had to do it.
Yes, I mean, come on.
So, I mean, how could I not love that? So it really taught me a lot on how to, like, you know, piece things together, because I left from that experience. While I was doing that, I decided to also do travel agency work as well, because I'm crazy and I have to work tons of hours. I think we've established that already. And so when COVID happened, I decided to move into this full time. And that really, everything that I learned there really helped me as to how I do things now. Because
and that was with the company, your, you know, the travel agency company.
So I the way that this industry works, it's not a lot of people are aware, but there's kind of a couple of different ways that you kind of get into it. So after I left their European river cruise company, or while I was with them, I without mentioning who they are, became an independent agent under this smaller agency. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can either go work for a company that actually like hires an advisor and then they pay you hourly and you are their employee. But that model is not a very popular one these days. That might have been more of like an older model. Now you'll see that there's either like a host agency or there's smaller agencies that'll have independent contractors. So that's what I do now. So like the reason kind of behind that is because as an industry, you have more power with numbers. So you know, you get higher commissions. So if you're part of like kind of like a group, almost, if you want to look at it, because you have multiple people that are selling maybe, let's say, one product, now that product is gonna you know, give you more commission. You have more, you're able to establish more relationships because, you know, they know that you're a part of this group, right? Yeah. But you're still really independent because I'm my own person. I decide who I'm going to work with. I, you know, make my own rules, and, you know, I work whenever I want. I don't have a boss. So
that's awesome. And that's fast forward to, that's how Lace Passport started as well, right?
Yes. So, Lace Passport has kind of emerged after this really big destination wedding that I had last year. So I've always done destination weddings, maybe like I've always done a lot of groups. I've always gravitated to groups because when I worked for the River Cruise Company, the department I worked in was groups. And so I've always kind of promoted myself that way. And I originally promoted myself as doing custom Europe trips only. And then, that wonderful event that happened in 2020, that I will not give a name right now, happened, and no one was traveling to Europe. So, and no one was traveling to Europe for like a good year and some change. So I kind of had to pivot to the Caribbean, because that was the thing that was the most accessible to us, especially Dominican Republic and Mexico. And it wasn't a hard transition. My family's from the Dominican Republic. Like I mentioned, I traveled a lot in my 20s and when I was younger, and in the Caribbean, it was somewhere I had always visited anyway. So it was just a matter of seeing it in a tourist eyes, in a tourist eyes rather than my eyes, because I felt like I traveled more like a local rather than a tourist. And so it kind of started from there. I did my first destination wedding the same year I decided to plan my own destination wedding. So awesome. Ever since then, I've always just had 2 weddings, 2 to 4 weddings a year. It started out with 2, then 2 and 4. But it wasn't really until, let's put it this way. I do 2 and 2 and 4 because at the time I really wanted to still focus on doing Europe, which is very time consuming. And I didn't want to take away from that. So I really tried not to do more than 2. I did 4 once and that was a lot, but but I was really inspired, by this really big wedding I did last year. I think it was 232 people.
Wow.
And I learned so much from doing that. Like, I thought I had my group process down. I thought I had everything, like, perfect. So I've been doing groups for so long. And I love that group, but it was also probably one of the most challenging ones I had ever done.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. It's a lot of people. It was very challenging. Everyone was super nice, so at least there was that, because sometimes you know, dealing with customer service, you sometimes have people that are not nice. So you're not.
Yeah.
But the thing about this group is that they're all super, super nice and respectful and just super sweet, but it was just challenging because it was hard for them to meet like deadlines, and a lot of them didn't read their emails, and a lot of them were asking questions that were for information that was already given. And so it really, the reason I say I loved it, it was a great group, but it was challenging. But I loved the challenge because it showed me that as perfect as I thought I was, I still really needed to work on my processes to make it even more perfect, to take away some of the doubts and some of the questions that I thought that I had already answered. And just learning that people digest things differently. And so I needed to have like a couple of ways that I was delivering my message to them.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little more, because that goes also into, when you filled out the questionnaire on my website, I asked you about the like struggles that, and entrepreneurs, or when you start your own business, what struggles you have, creative struggles, or in general, like with all the organization and learning new things, because as you mentioned, that we as entrepreneurs, we always wear all these different hats,
Yes. So, when you sign up to be an entrepreneur, when you have this like great idea in your head, it's a great idea, but then you realize that you're wearing every single hat. And so you go from working an 8-hour day to working 10, 12, 13, sometimes no sleep, if there's emergency. So that has probably been one of the struggles. And then on top of that, managing so many different aspects of the business, whether it's sales, marketing, social media, the finance aspect of it, like customer relations, like you're every single department until you decide that you're going to start hiring people. And then that part is even scary. I'm busy enough where I should hire someone, but then how do you trust someone with your baby, right? How do you trust that someone is going to give the same heart that you give, like, to your customers? Because ultimately that's what I would want if I hired somebody. So
yeah, exactly. I'm at the same spot.
You're in the same spot. Yeah,
because I have so much. I do have lots of projects that I'm working on, and it's awesome. It's perfect.
Yes, but definitely not complaining, but
no. But let's talk a little bit about your brand. When did you realize that you needed to have a more professional branding for Lace Passport?
Going with your answer, right? Your question for Lace Passport, I knew I needed the identity in order for me to further myself on Instagram, right? Because that's social media really is. It's not. I don't want to say it's the future, because it's right now, right? Mm-hmm. So I knew I needed to find my brand colors. I knew I needed a logo that was going to represent me. I knew I didn't want my business to be Lynnette Travels. Like, that's my social media name. That's fine. Yeah. But I didn't want my business to be my name. I wanted to be something representative of me and still have a little me sprinkle in it, but for it to be like its own identity tied in with me, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And so I started dabbling, with AI.
Yes.
With AI, with Canva and ChatGPT, everyone's favorite boyfriends. Yep. And I came up with this little suitcase. I came up with this little cute, like, lace little suitcase. I came up with Lace Passport because when I had my destination wedding, I didn't know what kind of wedding dress I wanted, but I knew that it had to be all lace because I love lace. That was very important to me. I knew I needed it to be lace, and I knew it had to have buttons in the back. I didn't care. I didn't know what else, but that's what I envisioned in my head. Yes. And so, what? That was the first thing that came to my mind, as I was like, it had to be lace. Like, my first destination wedding, well, technically it was my second destination wedding that I planned. It was my own. Yeah. And so that was very representative of me. And then I said, well, it starts with an L. I'm like, my last name's with a P. I'm like, what? What P travel word can I use? I'm like, and then technically you have my initials in there, right? So Lace Passport was born. The name was born there. Yeah. And, the logo I have now, I have thanks to you. So... yeah, that's very
that's awesome. So when you work with your clients, what's your process? Like, how do you people come to you? Let's say I would like to plan my wedding. So what's your process?
My process. Okay. So generally we're speaking by email. I send them like a quick little questionnaire. That way I can get some basics out of the way, because in reality, the important part of the conversation is when we get on the phone. Mm-hmm. And I think that conversation, I wouldn't want to bore it with like minute details, like, how many guests you're inviting. Yeah. Yes, that's important, but I don't want it to be a point of the conversation. I think the conversation for me is important because I want to know whether you feel comfortable with me, and the same way the other way around. Like it's a relationship that we're forming, right? They're committing to me for a year, possibly, or even 2 years in some examples, because people do plan them 2 years in advance. So we're going to be in a relationship for 1 to 2 years. We've got to like each other. So, yes. So that's why I send the questionnaire ahead of time that way. And then I take the questionnaire And based off of that, I kind of flesh out some additional details while we're on the phone call. And then we move forward from there. From there, the couples decide they have the option of 2 packages that I'm currently offering as far as helping with their wedding. And then from there, they decide what package they would like to move forward with. And then I work with them on 2 things, 2 very important things. One is confirming their, the first step is deciding what destination and
yes, and let's talk about that a little bit, because I know that you're traveling a lot and you go to all these amazing places to scout, new location.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about the destinations that your favorite destinations.
Okay, I mean, my favorite one, I'm a little biased just because I family to the Dominican Republic. But Mexico and Jamaica are probably another top 3. So the top 3, I would say Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Mexico, because they offer the most all-inclusive hotels, and that's what people are generally looking for when they're doing the destination weddings. Because most people when they're doing a destination wedding, it's for a couple reasons. The top 2 is the couple love to travel. Why not go on vacation with their friends and family? And the second one is the money, right? So it's a lot cheaper than having a wedding here. My couple that had their 230 wedding, not including their own personal dress and whatever, they spent under $30,000.
Wow,
on their wedding. Imagine 230 people here at a venue. We're talking millions, right? So you're saving a significant amount of money. So Dominican Republic is probably one of my favorites because of the beaches, the people, but they're all great destinations. I mean, Mexico, the food, again, the water, the people, anywhere I think where you involve the Caribbean, you're going to have friendly people, happy people. You have gorgeous weather, palm trees, ocean right by, you've got happy people. So they're all great destinations.
Yeah. So then, sorry that I interrupted you, but then, so they pick based on the destinations that you present to them because you have all this knowledge about all these different locations.
Right. So, I mean, when I'm having that conversation with them, a lot of times they have a general idea of where they want to do it, whether it's because, they were proposed there, or it's somewhere they often go back to, or they have a favorite. Very rarely they have a favorite hotel, but every once in a while you get one that has a favorite hotel that they want to have it at, or they usually either come with something in mind, a destination in mind, or they have no destination in mind. And then so I kind of have to become their filter in that situation, and ask the right questions, right? What kind of activities do they plan on doing while they're there is very important. If they tell me that, they want to do a sunset catamaran, then I can't send them to the Dominican Republic because they have very specific regulations for that, right? So that takes that out of the race.
But that's awesome. That was really interesting, and loved hearing about the whole process. Because we had our wedding. We were we got married twice actually. So we got married here in the States, and then we had the big wedding in Germany. Mm-hmm. And Germany is not as expensive to have a wedding, so it was very nice. But we did not go through a travel agent, and I think maybe it would have been much easier if we
Did you do the planning yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would. I can guarantee you would have been a lot easier. And I can tell you this even from my own personal experience. So I planned my destination wedding, but if I had to go back in time, I should have hired or partnered with another agent to work on it, because no one should ever have to work on their own wedding. You're stressed out about I'll preface this: planning a destination wedding is a lot easier, especially if you have a travel advisor, because now all I really have to stress out about is what am I wearing, what are my shoes, and my hair, the superficial things, right? What your spouse is gonna wear if he needs help, and I don't have to worry about my guests. right?
Yeah.
But I had to, because I decided to plan my own destination wedding. And one of my favorite things that I tell my couples is, once we've signed the contract, I'm like, we've signed the contract. Now, once we have confirmed your hotel, if any of your family members have questions, you tell them that's a Lynnette problem. That's a Lynnette question. That's a Lynnette question, right? So it's like, now you've taken away that stress of your family members probably all asking you the same questions.
Yes.
With information you probably have given them. And so you can really just focus on you and your future partner, and enjoying the moments leading up to the wedding. I feel like when people have weddings here, I've seen my friends like just so stressed out, especially if they don't have like a wedding coordinator. They're just so stressed out about every single detail, and they're not enjoying the process. And then the wedding the wedding happens, right? You blink, it's over, right? Because it's a 4-hour event. With destination wedding, you know, especially if you have someone like me on your team, you're just worrying about your dress, and you're worrying about your shoes, your hair. Maybe you'll worry that you have perfect weather when you get there, but that doesn't matter because there's those backup situations. And then when you get there, it's a 3, 4, 5, 7-day experience, depending on how long you make it. And it's not over at 4 hours. So I don't know why everyone's not having a destination wedding.
I know. That sounds, maybe can I do it again?
You can renew your vows. We do that too. Let me know. Do you have a big landmark coming up soon? And a big wedding?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Well, it have to be a big one, you know?
Yeah.
How many years have you been married for?
Since 2007.
So how many years? 18 years?
Oh
right?
My God.
18 years? Yeah. So you have, in 2 years, we can do a big wedding renewal.
Yeah. God, cool. Yes.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's see what my husband says about that. Okay. Yes. But, I mean, we talked about your favorite destinations, but do you have any tips for either entrepreneurs that just start out and you, or maybe even want to be someone who organizes weddings, someone who organizes, you know, travel for other people, or just in general, new entrepreneurs?
Yes. I would say, I know it's kind of hard to think into the future. But if I had to like go back and tell me when I started it, one is to set some boundaries. Mm-hmm. Yes, I said sometimes I work 15 hours, 20 hours. But I do it when I do it, it's because it is definitely necessary. When I first started, I would, you know, take phone calls at 10 o'clock at night, answer text messages at 12 o'clock at night, phone calls on Sunday while I'm like, you know, out to dinner with my husband. And sometimes, okay, I understand when you first start, you kind of have to do that. But at some point, set boundaries. And that was really important for me. You know, I technically work every day because if I have a client that's traveling and they have a situation, I make myself available for them. But Sunday for me is a hard cap. I do not work on Sundays. If you send me a text or an email, unless you're traveling, you will hear from me on Monday. So boundaries, very important. And I think where I'm at now, which is why I know I need to hire an assistant. I listened to this master class and it always stuck with me. And that's why I know that I'm at a point where I need to hire an assistant, because she said to me, not to me personally, but on this master class, I forgot her name. I really should, because it was probably one of the best like lessons. Some of the best lessons I've learned was listening to her. She's a creator of Spanx. And she said, you know, when you get to a point in your business where some certain tasks that are simple or taking you too long to do them, it's time to hire someone, because that's not what you love. The things that you love, you will do faster and you'll be more efficient in them. And that's where I'm at in this process. It's like I have so much going on. And there are certain clerical things that I'm just like, it's always on the bottom of the list, on the bottom of the list, on the bottom of the list. So just always kind of have that, I think, in mind as a business owner. Yes, you do have to wear many hats when you first start, but once you get to a point, you need to really like reassess and say, you know what, I need help, because the only way I'm going to be more efficient and more profitable is by having someone that's going to help me with the things I don't want to do anymore.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And I love that you said that. So if someone wants to find you, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. Lynnette_travels is my handle. Okay. I am also on Facebook under Lynnette Travels as well. And I do have a Lace Passport Instagram and a Lace Passport Pinterest. Oh. Don't hold me down to that because we're still trying to work out how to use it. So more like coming soon.
Okay. But do you also have a Lace Passport website?
I do. That's right. Courtesy of Miss Svenja Lyon, I have my Lace Passport website that just launched.
Yes. All right. Awesome. So I will definitely put all those links into the show notes. And I think we reached the end of this conversation, and it was very interesting. And I really appreciate you for being my first guest.
Thank you. Well, I want to say thank you so much again for having me on as your first guest.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to pop your cherry in this podcast adventure.
Yeah, so we'll see. So let's see how it goes. But I love what you said about, doing scary things, because this is exactly what I'm doing with this podcast. So it's a scary thing, but maybe after a while it won't be that scary anymore.
Practice makes perfect is what I always say, which is why I always chase the scary thing, because it's not going to be scary if you do it a couple times. So.
Exactly. So, yes. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to Lynnette for being here. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening to This Might Get Creative. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to follow the show and share it with a friend who'd love these stories. You can find more at lioncreatives.com or on Instagram at lion.creatives. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and remember, it just might get creative. Thanks for listening to This Might Get Creative, a Behind the Brand podcast by Lion Creatives. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show and share it with someone who loves discovering local businesses and creative entrepreneurs. You can learn more about my work at lioncreatives.com or find me on Instagram, lion.creatives, and LinkedIn at Lion Creatives. Until next time, keep showing up, keep creating, and keep getting seen.